Okay, another thing, ne? The guide or whatever that guy is called, he told me to view it as the guy was making love to me. Those are the things where you're like, I'm not gonna view my rape like that.
What?
But I get the other things that you were saying.
Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. Thank you so much for all the love you have been showing. I'm going to say it at the beginning of the episode. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Today is a bit of a tricky episode, and so we're going to, sort of with a disclaimer, trigger warning. We're going to be chatting everything to do with South African culture around rape, and we've got a guest who's going to be sharing her rape story with us. And so it's a bit of a sensitive episode, and if you feel that you're not ready to engage in such discussion, please make sure that you skip this episode and you catch the next one. We still have lots and lots of love for you. That being said, Fimsy Whimsy, hello, darling.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome, thank you. The voice of reason behind the microphone is Figile Ngongwane. And then our guest for today, I'm trying to sing because she's got such an amazing singing voice. Musician and all-round superstar. It is Nicola Granger. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Did I get the name correct?
No, you didn't.
I did.
Granger, right?
Granger.
It's Ranger with a G in front.
Okay, Granger.
Yes.
I mean, why did she do that off air when I kept saying
No, because when you said Granger and then I said Granger, I thought, okay.
She
has it.
It's inside.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
How are you doing, Nicola?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you so much for coming through and
Thank
joining
you for
us.
having me.
It's I think it's such a sensitive thing to talk about. And I mean, although you might know many stories, there aren't many people that you can approach to share their story. And so when I had seen that you already shared the story online on your own platform, she's got her own YouTube channel as well. So go out and support Nicola as well. And when I saw that you shared the story and you'd also shared it on another platform, I felt that, okay, this is somebody that I can reach out to who's, excuse me, I hope the new mics didn't catch that. Anyway, so I just realized, this is definitely somebody that we can, have the chat with and talk about like such a sensitive topic with. I mean, we're looking at, I think it was reported in 2019, 2020, over 42,000 rapes in South Africa. At some point, we're sitting at number one. And the problem keeps getting worse. And I remember at some point, after these statistics were released, the statement was that the issue is that South Africa is reporting honestly versus other countries. And I just thought, how crazy is that? Like, we're looking for solutions, and that's
crazy.
That's your response.
And to think that most women actually don't even report their cases.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're still the highest.
Yes, it's absolutely. I mean, if you live in South Africa, oh, guys, I love my country so much. Rainbow Nation, viva. But when it comes to the rape issue, we just hear too many stories all the time. It's scary. The culture around it as well. You can't. It's absolutely impossible to go to a store without a man feeling entitled to whistle at you or to... This morning, actually, I was driving back from Spa, and one of the guys then obviously gives like a flate. And hey, sister. And I often greet back because I think I'm also scared not to.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I just wanted to see what the reaction would be, and he didn't say anything. And I realized that it's just the standard, that I'm going to greet her and she's going to respond. She has to.
The entitlement.
She's alone. She's scared. Of course, she has to respond. So I was like, let me try but I was driving off. I don't think I would have done that if I was walking and I was going to still walk with him for some time. But it just goes to show how you have to strategically see when you can be cheeky versus when you have to humble yourself in essay. That's the running culture that we have. I'm rambling. Nicola. Thank you for coming through. And I think if we are going to start, it's a sensitive one, but if we are going to start, tell us about that day. What happened?
So it was just a regular day. Everyone is agreeing, let's go out, we're gonna have fun. We were accompanying a DJ friend of mine. So he had his other friends who were also tagging along. I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring my friends, because obviously as a woman, you can't drive alone at night. So that was my first thought. Let me bring other people that I can drive with so that nothing happens on my way home. Kanti. That's what's going to happen. So
Sure.
I knew the guy from high school, and the other two people that he was with was another guy from high school and one of his other friends. So you know how it is. There were 3 guys, 3 girls. People decide to pair up, and then the one who's single feels like, hey, let me just talk to the other single one. So I didn't feel any type of way about it because I knew this guy, not even from high school, but from primary school. We went to the same primary, same high school. So I didn't think anything. Yeah, I didn't think anything of it. We were talking throughout the nights, whatever. When I needed to get something in the car, he'd walk with me. You know, I felt safe, calm, everything was fine. And then the end of the night comes and we decide we're all gonna go to my DJ friend's house, and we'll just sleep there and then go home. So now the people that have paid up are now sleeping.
That time.
They're where they are. I was like, it's not a big deal to share a bed with a person. Like, you don't have intentions of doing anything. We can both just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sleeping on the floor. People were already sleeping on the couches, on other beds. So I'm okay. Are you cool? Yeah.
And he's a familiar face.
Yeah. So now he's very drunk. I'm also very drunk, but I'm not the type of drunk where I don't see what's going on. So now it becomes a situation where he's trying and trying. He's asking and asking. And I'm like, nah, I'm not into it. I'm not into it. Then I got off the bed. And now he's chasing me around the room. Like, when I move to this corner, he comes to that corner. We doing the whole moving around thing until it got to a point where I'm just like, I give up, actually. So just do what you need to do and let's leave it. And afterwards, I literally sat, this was probably around like 3 a.m. I literally sat on the bed, waited until I could sort of see the sun, like maybe around 6. Woke my friends up and I was like, please, can we go? Because I'm not trying to be here. And on the way home, my friends could tell that there was something wrong, but I wasn't speaking. I was just like, no, it's fine. Let's just go home. After I got home, that's when I actually felt that, okay.
I was raped.
Yeah. This was horrible.
And that's what happened. Did you try to press charges? What happened?
No, because I felt like, okay, so after that, right, when I get really sad, I just shut down. Like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything. So I was in that mode. And then my father came to me and he's like, dude, what's going on? Like, you haven't said anything in so many days. Nothing's happening. And then I just let it out. And the first thing he thought was like, no, we need to go to the hospital, and
post-exposure, things like that, yeah.
And see if there's anything wrong. So we ended up going to the doctor. Now the doctor is a female. And the first things she asks me is, who is this guy? Why were you talking to him? Why did you even walk with him?
Is it a Robocop?
Imagine.
So for me, that was my first experience with someone outside of my family. So I was like, if I'm going to the police and this is what they're going to be saying to me, I don't need to hear this. Like, this is not going to help me, because she literally was making it sound like it's my fault. So after the doctor thing, I was just like, I'm not gonna do anything about it because I don't want to deal with this.
And I can imagine if your first point of contact, you're expecting to receive some kind of empathy, then you're just like, Where am I going?
Yeah.
To be honest, even as you were describing what happened, there's so much of like, we have to almost justify why we were in that position.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And the fact that it was a female doctor.
Yes.
You know, you probably were thinking if you're going to the police station, you're going to encounter males.
A male.
How
How much worse will it be
would
if
it
a
be?
female doctor
And you're
is doing
traumatized at this time.
Yes. And yeah, I'm just thinking about how you have to explain that I went to primary with him. So of course I felt safe. I went, you know, or because you have to justify why did you allow yourself, like, what?
It wasn't a stranger or some scary
But
guy.
beyond that, let's
Even
just
if
say
it
is
was
a stranger, you know, the argument now becomes around what were you wearing?
Yeah.
Why were you with a stranger instead of getting raped?
Like,
Somebody felt
let's do
they
something
could
about it.
impose
Yeah.
themselves. You know what I mean? And like I remember I read a post where for me the penny landed, because I think they called it victim blaming, and I don't think it was intentional. But when I read this post, I was like, oh yeah, like it hit. The post said she was drunk out of her mind. What was she expecting? And the response was a hangover.
Definitely. Not to get raped. It's
Yeah.
not
In the
normal.
same way, a man would expect a hangover. In the same way, any human being, the
When you
repercussions
drink,
of drinking
hangover.
is a hangover. Not my body being violated, you
Yes.
know, because then you take away from the girl who gets raped sober. You
The
take away
children
from the
that get
girl-
raped?
Yeah, the children that get raped for
Yeah.
age. It's a societal issue. It's not about who's wearing what.
A rapist is a
Definitely.
A
rapist.
rapist is a rapist. And even like, I think the thing about your story, Nicola, that really, like, you know, it brought to me the reality of how it usually happens. You know, I think when it's considered rape, it's like when it's violent and it's this
Yeah.
bottle over your head. And it makes it then difficult to talk, because eventually you feel like you betrayed yourself by saying, you
Yes.
know, but the truth is it's still rape. You wore me down, you know.
Yes.
Did you ever contact him?
I did. So after the situation with the doctor, we do tests, everything. Then she calls back maybe like a week later or a few days later. And she's like, yes, this person gave you an STD.
Imagine.
So now I'm like, I wasn't going to say anything. Like, I was just going to move on with my life, because in my understanding, this happens to women all the time.
Sure.
So it's like,
Sure.
should
That's
I
an
even be
unfortunate
dramatic about this? Like, I've heard these stories before. And also you get to a point where you're like, but maybe I should have tried to hit him, or maybe I should have fought. Maybe I didn't do enough for myself, so I shouldn't feel so entitled to justice and vengeance and whatever. So I ended up contacting him, and I'm like, dude, I know you know that I said no so many times, and this is what's happened, and now the doctor is telling me you gave me this. Yes, it's nothing deadly. It's something that just needs an injection, and we move on with life. But this is what you did. And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry you went through that.
Wow.
That's what he said.
What? He didn't apologize for the rape?
No, he said, I'm sorry you went through that. That line.
Like he was speaking to his sister?
Yeah.
Or
And
like
he
was
wasn't
removed,
part of it.
yeah.
Yes, he wasn't
No,
part
I'm
of
sorry
it.
I did that to you.
No. He's sorry I went through it.
Have you seen him in person since?
I saw him. And he was basically saying he wants to be friends. He understands that the past was hectic.
Wow.
And I was just like, that definitely makes no sense.
Oh my gosh. Like, that's like a continued sense of entitlement.
It is.
It's not entitlement yet now. You continue to feel entitled to me, to my friendship, to my body.
And he's not even apologetic.
He
just wants to move on.
He never apologized.
Yeah, and I think definitely the friendship thing is that, oh, this thing could come up in my future one day. Let me try to
Make it,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, oh, wow.
Did you tell your friends that it was specifically him? Friends that weren't
there.
there?
Yes, I told friends that weren't there. And the people that we were with, they took it lightly, man. Like, they didn't see it as a... hectic thing. I feel like because it wasn't violent and it wasn't dramatic, they were like, man, I'm sorry, you know how guys are, you know how it is. Until he violated one of their sisters at a family gathering thing, and they were like, you know, that guy, he's not normal, there's something.
Only then he's not normal. Wow.
Sure, but Nicola, I can imagine the now double grief that you're experiencing. Firstly, from what has happened, then also just the lack of empathy of the people around you,
and support.
the friends and the support that are supposed to,
I mean, the girls were fine. They got it. They were like, yeah, no, we need to cut them off. Like, none of those girls ever hung out with those guys again.
Yeah.
And that's literally where it was. But I don't know what it takes for guys to cut each other off. But that still wasn't enough for them to say, nah, we can't hang around this guy.
Sure. I don't know. I do struggle with this one. Is the solution then to cancel the guy? What do we say? Like,
I don't know.
What's the next? What would have made you feel like you got justice? What would have made you feel better?
I don't really know if there was anything they could have done, but I feel like if I saw that they said, nah, we're not messing with this guy, I would have felt like, okay, people understand, that this actually affected me a lot.
Sure, I hear you.
We definitely cancel rapists.
Yeah.
We cancel them and try to stop it, of course.
I feel like the only vindication I would feel is if the person was arrested and did time. I really have no idea, but I feel like there's some sort of...
Something has to happen.
Something has to happen.
I don't know, maybe I'm evil, but in prison you still get food and water and you have a toilet to use. And that wouldn't be enough for me. Like, I would want him to not have anything. No friends, no family, no shoes. No nothing.
No life.
Like...
And I think it can be a traumatic experience, because I remember it happened to a friend of mine who was also raped by somebody who attended varsity with us, and we'd still see him on campus, and life just went on. Life just went on.
I'm sure.
And now you have to relive the trauma every time you see this person.
Sure. And so, just speaking of like how people can support, Nicola, like I think it's so difficult because you never want to say the wrong thing. And that can make you sometimes seem distant and removed from the situation. But in the same breath, you don't want to be too, because you don't want to be the person that says the wrong thing. I have deep anxieties around supporting in any situation, really, even if it's like grief, because I never want to be that person who said the wrong thing when you're going through such a difficult time. And that can sometimes make me come across as a very removed friend or, just a participant in that situation. So what would have been the right thing? Like, how would have been the right way to support you at that time? Do you feel like your parents supported you correctly? Do you feel like your siblings, your friends supported you correctly? And the ones that you felt really supported by, what did they do? What did they say that was correct?
Okay, so we'll start with the parents. My parents definitely, supported me when the way I've grown up, I've always told my dad, and then he would relay the message to my mom. So when he told my mom, she was crying. She was distraught. She couldn't believe it. But then at the same time, she saw, because the next day my clothes, I was wearing a bodysuit, and by the vagina part there was blood. Sure. So she saw that something weird happened, but I'm not sure, because also, menstruation, whatever, so I'm not going to ask any questions. But they were very supportive. They understood that it was traumatizing for me because they could see a change in me. And I've never gone back to how I was before that. Sure. So they've been with me through all of that. And my friends also tried, but I'm a very closed off person. Like, when I have the strength to speak, then I'll let you know. But the advice that I can give is, if something like that happens to someone that you love, you just ask them simply and plainly, what do you need? And if you're the type of person who's like, I'm here to give you literally anything, list those things. I'm willing to help you with money. I'm willing to take you to hospital. I'm willing, let them know, so that you can't tell a person, if you need anything, let me know. Because I don't know
what I need.
Yes. And I also don't know if I'm going to be stretching you by saying, Ursula, I don't have money for medicine. Can I please get some help?
What does it?
Let me know what your anything is.
Oh, okay.
That's, sure. I feel like that's the most important thing that you need in any traumatic,
I actually never
grieving situation. Because a lot of people have said, if you need anything, but I don't know you like that.
What is
if I've never asked you for money, I'm not gonna start now, even though
you've said
I need it.
Anything.
Yes.
And what is anything, guys?
Actually,
what is anything? I've actually never thought of that. Like, to actually state, hey, do you need me to go fetch whatever for you, or do you need me to take you to the doctor? I've never.
So I feel like that's the biggest thing, and the best way to be there for someone is to actually try to understand what it is that they need. Because now you're sending them flowers. I'm allergic to flowers. Now you're trying to kill me, and I'm sad.
How would you say this affected your relationship with men going forward?
My relationship with men was already messed up. And it's weird because I literally had the best father ever. Like, I had a gentleman of a father. So I don't know. It didn't really change a lot. But obviously, I'm more guarded. And I'm also very careful. Like, I'm not staying at your house. After the party, I'm going home. Because I don't want any confusion. Even now, because I do music, I don't necessarily feel comfortable when someone is like, come to my studio and it's just the two of us, because I don't know what's gonna happen if now suddenly you're gonna think you're in love and then there's confusion. So I'm very cognizant of things like that. Even something as simple as last night, I was out and I had to walk to my car. Now some guy starts walking next to me. And you're like, I can't be rude. I'm wearing heels that I can't run in. So I can't necessarily, just be like, can you please leave me alone? And now what does he want to do? He wants to hold my hand. I don't know you. I've never met you. Why are you grabbing my hand? But you can't be that way because you don't know if he's just going to back you into a corner. And it was a dark place where I was walking. So I was like, I have to just be kind and
hope for the best.
And hope that nothing weird is going to happen. I just have to talk to him, entertain the conversation, because I don't want anything funny to happen.
In the same breath, you don't know if that talking and entertaining leads him to think that there's a thing going on here.
He has a chance.
Exactly.
It's so it's such a tricky thing. Like, you have to strategize. I remember when you'd be on campus and okay, I'm gonna leave late. I'll be in the library till late. You wear jeans and a pair of tights underneath because you're just hoping that this will somehow, create some kind of barrier to entry should this happen. We're constantly always thinking like that.
Oh, God is always
You're looking for if there's an exit.
Have you gone to therapy?
No, I didn't. I didn't go to therapy after that. But then I think maybe even 7 months later, I don't know what to call this thing that I attended, but it's like an emotional boot camp of sorts, if I can call it that. So I had a girl who hit me up and she was like, hey, do you want me to get you a sponsor and then you can go through this whole thing? And obviously I can't go into everything that happened because it was a week-long thing. But on one of the days, there was a day where we were all in a whole type of situation. and they switched off the lights and they were like, just scream. Like, just scream, do whatever you need to do. And when you're surrounded by a lot of people screaming, you start feeling everything that's inside you. And you're like, okay, I also need to scream, actually. I need to let all of this out. And it's something, it's one of those experiences where you don't realize that that's actually something that I needed to do. It's, obviously there are things in every situation, in church, in therapy and whatever, where you take what you take and you leave what doesn't really align with what you believe. So I learned a lot of things through that. That helped me, kind of get back up a bit. Yeah.
Sure.
But I don't think
Was that a women's
therapy.
only thing?
No,
Or is it?
there were
Where do
men.
people find out about stuff like that?
I
Sounds
know.
so cool.
It does. But also.
I'm not gonna lie, it was very culty, but I was like, hey.
Hey, the good and the bad, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have to take what you take. Because literally on the last day, like the helpers or the people that what's that word? Those
guides.
people. On the last day, they came in all white. Everyone is wearing all white. So now you feel like,
No wonder.
am I going to heaven? What's going on? But the whole thing was enlightening. Like, it's literally one of those, and it's quite expensive, and I get why. Because you get the
So can you say
need.
that's where like a lot of your healing came from?
It helped me understand things. Okay, another thing, the guide or whatever that guy is called, he told me to view it as the guy was making love to me. Those are the things where you're like, I'm not gonna view my rape like that.
What?
But I get the other things that you were saying. So it's one of those situations where
things? I'm sorry, I'm curious because that one for me is like, no.
it was a couple of days, so there were a lot of things that happened, but they were basically trying to teach you that you don't have to stay in that.
Okay.
You don't have to stay in that moment. You don't have to
Okay.
live your life like that's the
Being
only thing
defined by
that's
it.
ever happened to you.
Yes.
So there were moments like that where you're like,
Okay.
yes,
I hear you. Being defined
Yes.
as I'm a rape victim.
Yes,
I'm a rape victim.
yes,
That means your
yes,
story
yes.
versus I'm an amazing musician.
yes.
And
Exactly.
celebrating okay.
So they had
Sure. Yeah.
best of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for giving us both
Yeah,
sides because
Yeah, it got tricky there.
I got tricky for a second. I'm like, wait,
What?
Nicola, thank you so much, and I know that you've already shared the advice as to how can people, how can people comfort and support somebody that's been through that. But if there's anything else you want to share with somebody specifically that's going through or that has gone through something like that.
I also think for me the biggest thing that I did was write a lot on social media.
Yes.
And that helped me meet people who went through the same thing, and also people who didn't have anyone to go to came to me.
Sure.
So my advice would be that you must deal the way you want to deal. Like, don't let anyone say, why are you sharing so much on social media? Or how come you're posting but you're not talking to me? Sometimes the people that you have aren't the people that you need. Unfortunately. Like,
You're dropping bombs.
I can't go to someone, I lost my father. I can't go to someone who has both of their parents and be like, please understand what I'm going through. You can't. And as much as you're my friend and I love you so much, I don't need you right now.
Sure.
I need someone who gets it. So yeah, that's my advice. Deal with it the way you want to. Like, if you feel like just keeping quiet for a while until you're ready to speak is what you want to do that. If you feel like ranting on social media is what you want to do that. If you want to go live and just talk on the live, do it.
Do what you need to do.
Yeah, do what you need to do. Because the people that are judging you aren't going to cry with you at night and hold you when you need someone.
Sure, I think that's advice for any situation. Do what you need to do. And if you need to keep quiet, then keep quiet.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
being
having
vulnerable
me.
enough to share that. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you'd like to reach out to her, she is on Instagram, Facebook, all the other platforms, I believe. TikTok,
yeah, everything
else. But I think first and foremost, we should talk about your music and amazing music that you make. As we're saying, we don't want people to view only as, you know, the rape victim, and just to see you beyond all of that. And so I hope that's the direction and the outlook people get of you. Thanks for being that vulnerable. I think in a million years, I don't know like how much strength it would take for me to share something like that, and so I commend your strength.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
To all the listeners at home, thank you so much for always watching. We love you so much here at TCC. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.